Hello everybody, and welcome to another hopefully interesting episode of Noodle Journey, where I'll be reviewing Nongshim Doong Ji Naengmyeon with chilled beef broth. Yes, this is another cold noodle dish. We're going through heatwave after heatwave this summer, which means hot noodle soups aren't always everyone's favorite lunch. Esther Choi recently filmed a video for First We Feast where she made naengmyeon for Sean Evans, which reminded me, hey, I have some instant naengmyeon in my review pile. So here we are, and this sounds like a really interesting recipe. I already loved the cold noodles I reviewed before, like Nongshim's Guksu Soba and Paldo's Bibimbap, and this one is pretty different from those. Here we've got a new kind of noodle I've never tried before, with a new kind of broth I've never tried before, and so I'm excited about both. And so you may be asking, what is this exactly? Well, the internet tells me that naengmyeon is the name for dishes that use these really thin, long noodles that are made from wheat, buckwheat, and potato starch. And sometimes they'll be made from arrowroot too, but not these. And then they're combined with this really interesting broth and served cold. Esther Choi also said that typically it's served at the end of a heavy, spicy Korean barbecue meal as a sort of refreshing cool down. There's two varieties of these that Nongshim makes, and I'll be reviewing the other one in the next video for the sake of completion. And I wanted to start with this one because it just sounds so interesting. You can find these possibly at your local Asian market or Walmart, surprisingly. I paid $6 for a 3-pack at Walmart. You may also see these in slightly different packaging if they're an import or simply referred to as Doong Ji instead of Doong Ji Naengmyeon. Anyway, let's take a look at the sodium and the ingredients. In typical Nongshim fashion, they claim a bag of these is 2 servings, which no, it's not realistically. But it is a 5.5 ounce bag, so it's not exactly small either. And so for 1 serving, you're looking at 630 milligrams of sodium or 1260 for the whole pack. Also be warned that this is fairly sugary at 14 grams for the entire pack. So inside the pack, check out these noodles. I haven't seen anything like these on this channel yet. They're super thin, pretty cool in appearance. Then we've got a broth packet, which contains all kinds of flavorings like soy sauce, garlic, beef extract, pear puree, vinegar, apricot, kelp, fish extract, honey, even more stuff that I'm not going to list. There's going to be a lot of different flavors in this. And then we've got a dried flake packet containing cucumber and radish. There is also some green chili pepper in the ingredients, and so I don't think this is going to be completely mild. And now before I cook the noodles, this tray is what you use to make the chilled broth if you don't have a bowl handy. So you fill to the inside line with cold water and add the broth packet. And then, since these are not your typical ramyun noodles, they cook a little differently. They cook on low heat and need constant stirring because apparently they can gum up really quickly. So hopefully I do this right, and if I don't, at least I have 2 more packs to try to get it right. I will be right back. All right, while I'm waiting for the noodle water to come to a boil, let's make the broth. The fill line is more or less a cup, and this is cold water because, again, this is a cold noodle soup. That is a really interesting combination of smells. All right, I'm just going to give this a quick stir. All right, so I transferred the broth to my serving bowl. The noodles have been drained and rinsed in cold water, and I can see why there is a warning about cooking these low and stirring them constantly, because I feel like these could clump together if you just looked at them the wrong way. They're very thin and delicate. Yeah, see, look at that clumping. I stirred constantly, and this is what I got out of it. So if you do buy this, just stir vigorously, like the instructions say. Now, what's most abundant to me from a smell perspective is the vinegar. So let's see how this all tastes. Starting with the noodle. It is thin, but it is still very starchy and firm. It's a really, really interesting quality and texture. It's really bouncy, but somehow still kind of feels thin and delicate. Totally unique from what I've eaten before. That being said, they're also kind of a pain in the butt to eat because they're extremely long and they're very slippery. But they're certainly unique and they work well with this broth, so I'm going to call them a 7 out of 10. So as I said before, there is some green chili pepper in the ingredients, but it is so subtle that I'm honestly not even noticing it. And if you're a spice fiend, I'm sure you're not going to notice it either. If you're sensitive to spicy heat but working on training your palate, I think you'll find this to be completely bearable. The fact that I can't even taste the chili pepper means I'm going to give this just a very cautious 1 out of 10 for the spice level. And now to get to the overall flavor and score, which, I keep saying it, this is very interesting. Vinegary, salty, sweet, umami. It's really just a very unique blend of flavors that I can't say I've ever had before. They sort of remind me of the rice vinegar noodles that you sometimes get in Japanese restaurants, but in a soup form. It definitely works well as a cold broth. I think if you made this a hot broth, it would be kind of weird. The garnishes are excellent. Cucumbers, which because of the sourness of the broth, kind of turn them into pickles. And the couple pieces of radish I had were also nice and firm and tasty. But because of the sour nature of this, I think I'm going to have a hard time eating this entire thing in one go. Maybe Nongshim was right, and this really should be 2 servings split between 2 people. It's the first time I'll ever admit that on this channel, that maybe they're right about the serving size. So I like this well enough, but I don't think it's for everybody. And I don't know if it's necessarily something I would buy again, but I'll be happy to cook the other 2 packs of this and maybe throw in some fresh cucumber and some deli sliced beef, something like that, to make this into more of a meal. I think as an overall score, I'm going to give this a 6 out of 10. Yeah, that feels right. If you're suffering from the heat this summer but still want some noodles, this is a completely unique way to enjoy something cold and refreshing. And if the flavors are up your alley, then you will find this to be a satisfying experience. This is an incredibly complex flavor, and I'm glad I tried it. And it will be fun to experiment with the other 2 packs, like I was talking about earlier. I don't think this is a total hit from Nongshim, but if you like the flavors that I described, then yeah, seek this out. Now, the other variety in this product line is a different take on this cold noodle idea using a somewhat more familiar sauce. So that will be the next review. I'm curious if any of you have tried this product before, or naengmyeon in general, and what you think, because I think as a concept this is pretty neat. So let me know in the comments what you think. Please remember to like this video, give me a subscription if you haven't already so that I can keep bringing you new and interesting reviews like this, and I hope you'll join me on the next episode of Noodle Journey.